He actually prayed for me. And after he prayed for me, I felt like a sense of calmness and like a sense of belonging here in Singapore.
This is Cassandra. She's from Batam, Indonesia, but she's been in Singapore for 9 years. Cassandra's TikTok has an impressive 40k followers. As we chatted, she explained to me the major contrast between life in Singapore and Indonesia and shared the heartwarming story of Singaporean kindness. I'm Max, entrepreneur and YouTuber from Singapore. Enjoy! What you like the most about Singapore?
What I like most about Singapore is how safe it is. Like I can just go home at 11 and I don't really feel any worry. I think it's much more safe as compared to Indonesia. And second is like their transportation, how it links to one place to another. And third is like how everything is so efficient here. When you send an email, it doesn't take them 3 weeks to reply. They can give you an immediate response and I love that.
Did you have any cultural shock when you moved to Singapore?
Yeah, I think the biggest culture shock was how fast things were going. Yeah, especially when I came when I was 15. It was when I was really young and I felt like I have nobody here. Even though I was staying with my sister, but I felt like I'm just feeling homesick when I was away from my parents.
3 biggest differences of life here and Batam.
I think the biggest difference would be like here, I don't have family. I would have to do everything myself. There's no family dinners, there's no events like that we share as a family because here is just me, myself and I. I eat alone, I choose my own meal and stuff. And second would be the transport, definitely. Because in Indonesia, I think the taxes for cars are not that expensive. In Indonesia, we would have our personal transportation. In Singapore, there's public transport and it's very convenient to go to and fro our office and home. And I think the third one would be in Indonesia, people are more relaxed. And in Singapore, it's like straight to the point. If you go to Singapore, you go to the bank, everyone is just like trying not to see you. But in Indonesia, we also have these salutations actually, like good morning, and then like how can I help you?
Permisi Ibu, ada yang bisa dibantu?
Yes, how can I help you?
Which approach you like more?
I think both have its pros and cons. I like Indo, I like Singapore, and it's just like a mixture of both would be great. Yeah, have family here and also a little bit of calmness and some kind of relaxation and stuff. Because Indonesia is a very big country, right? You can just have road trips and stuff and domestic flights and you can have a holiday. In Singapore, it's just Singapore.
Singapore is just perfectly located. If you're tired, you can just jump on the flight and go somewhere to a nice place in Indonesia. Can you share, you remember any crazy story that happened with you in Singapore?
Okay, it's not really crazy, but it's a very memorable moment in my life in Singapore. Because there was this time where I was so sad, and then I booked a cab. And I was so touched because it was a really tough and difficult moment in my life where I was calling my friend and I just couldn't stop crying. Even after I hang up the call, I just keep crying non-stop. And this uncle, the taxi driver, was super kind to me. He actually asked me what happened, what's the issue, and I was still crying and I couldn't really express in words what really happened to me. I just told him that I felt like I'm very broken because someone did this to me, and he was so kind that he told me really kind words like, you don't have to be afraid. And he happens to be a Christian as well. I felt so much love from him. The way he tells me things and encourages me things, it's super heartwarming. And I felt like it was a very memorable moment because after the trip ended, he actually asked me, can I pray for you? And he actually prayed for me. And after he prayed for me, I felt a sense of calmness and a sense of belonging here in Singapore. Oh my gosh. And the strangers here are very kind to me that they can even pray for me. And it's super memorable and I won't forget that. If Uncle, you're watching this video, thank you so much for the prayer.
Wow, that's a beautiful story.
Yeah. It's really memorable. Yeah. And I won't forget it.
I want to find more interesting people for you to interview them. If you want to support my work, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, there are so many rich Indonesians live in Singapore. Is it true?
Yes,
That's
that's
okay.
true. There's a lot of rich Indonesians here in Singapore. Their life is quite nice. They can just like drive their branded cars and just like shop whenever they want to, go to different branded shops and just like not care about how much it costs and just like, okay, I'm just going off now to my orchard bungalow.
Community of Indonesians in Singapore. Is it big?
For Indonesians, we actually have communities even from our college, our university years. Like for me, when I was in SIM, I joined this Indonesian community. We call it like Indonesian student community based on each university. Then when I moved to my master's, which is in SMU, they also have the Indonesian community. And then we usually bond from there. We get to know other Indonesians from those communities. And also we like based on faith, like if I'm a Christian, I go to like church, Indonesian church, and we also get to know other Indonesians in church. So it's quite a big community here in Singapore.
Do you know the number? Like how many Indonesians live in Singapore?
I heard about it, I think around 100,000 Indonesians here.
quite a lot.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's updated, but that's the last that I heard is like 100,000 Indonesians here.
Is it the thing? Is like if you meet an Indonesian in Singapore, you guys have a bond with each other like straight away. Is it the thing? Or
Yes,
no?
yes. It's definitely a thing. Like because we're like living abroad, we don't really have families here, right? So we have the same kind of concern. Like for example, when we rent an apartment, or like when we're finding a job, we actually just click because there's a lot of experience that we can share with one another. Yeah. So that's why there's like this. Also, there's this bond between Indonesians lah. Like even back in Indonesia, we usually have our own cliques, like our own groups of people that we always hang out with, and I think it also happens here in Singapore.
What's the 3 best spots everyone should visit in Indonesia?
We can get away Batam definitely, but for Batam it's just like it's like a different kind of JB, Johor Bahru, but it's cheaper. Like for eyelash extensions, for facials, it's much cheaper, and it's just like a short getaway. If you want to get like Indonesian food stop, you can just immediately go to Batam, and it's like $70 for like a 2-way ferry ticket. I think the second one would be Jakarta. Because Jakarta is like the capital city of Indonesia, and you would want to experience this hustle and bustle of Indonesia, and that's where you go, which is Jakarta, and that's where the big names are, like all the big companies, all the tech companies, they're all based in Jakarta.
What do you do there as a tourist? Like you go clubbing, bars, or
Yeah,
restaurants?
bars, food, and I think it's more like corporate business setting kind of thing. But definitely street food is much better in Jakarta because there's more variety as compared to Batam. I haven't been to this particular area. It's called Labuan Bajo. It's like Maldives, but Indonesian version.
Ooh,
yeah. So you guys can go there if you want to explore like the nature and also scuba diving.
Can you tell me a couple of words how to study in Singapore? Like, is it harsh, like, I don't know, in China, or is like more liberal, maybe like in Europe?
I think in Singapore, especially during secondary school, it was quite tough for me because in Indonesia, we don't have essay questions. It's all multiple choice questions. Yeah. So in Singapore, it was based on like essays, and in that essays, you have to memorize the keywords. So for me, it was like quite tough to adjust from the education system in Indonesia and in Singapore. And it goes from secondary, it goes to like degree and master's degree, and as time goes by I actually learn more on how do I answer these kind of essay questions, and now I'm more comfortable in answering essay questions than like multiple choice question when it's like either it's right or it's wrong.
Did you spend a lot of time for studying itself?
Yeah, I think for secondary it was like the most stressful period of my life, and yeah, because I had like insomnia, like I cannot sleep at all for around 2 years because I was so stressed and I was chasing for scholarship. So that's why I felt like a lot of pressure, and I just remember like sitting in a McRitchie Reservoir and just do nothing, just look at the lake there. Yeah.
Do you know like the range of salaries, like the same job in Singapore and Jakarta, let's say?
Maybe in finance for my industry, it's quite similar. It's just that for Indonesia, you don't really have rent to pay. It's quite high there in Indonesia, back in Indonesia. But for general jobs, like in non-fast-paced companies, its starting salary is from $400. In Singapore, it's like 1,008, I think, or maybe for professionals, it starts at 2,800 and above.
What's the most important thing that you learn, or some important lesson that you learn through your career, like study and then career years, that helps you and helping to achieve your goals?
I think what's really important here that I learned in Singapore is we have to persevere, like be determined in what we really want to achieve. And it helps me through my education here, my work life here, and also throughout making TikTok videos also, like even the small things, because once you become determined on what you want to achieve in your goal, you become consistent in it and you do your best in it. So I think that helps me in professionally and also like the daily tasks that I do here in Singapore. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was super nice and positive. And I fully agree with Cassandra. To be persistent and consistent with what you do is what makes the biggest difference in your life and in your business and your career. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. And don't forget to subscribe and like, okay? If you like this video, check out the next one. But you have only 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.